It was the day of the midterm for the survival class. They had pulled a number from a bowl, which determined where they would be sent. That morning, they had been told the temperature range to dress for. The temps for their site could get as high as 75 and as low as 46. They were both dressed in layers. They met on the path that took them to the leave site. Mages from the eastern side of the continent had arrived to help the school with this massive undertaking. To send so many students was a huge drain on magical power. So many mages volunteered to help.
What do you think about the temperature range we were given?
Leo asked.
End of February, and it can get in the mid-70s, but also mid-40s? That sounds more like day and nighttime temperatures. It's not going to be in the north. We don't get that high during the day. It would also be really wet, and we weren't advised to bring extra gear like they were.
Aaron pointed to another team wearing rain boots and rain ponchos.
Won't be around Virginia either.
Leo replied.
Our temperatures won't get higher than mid-50s this time of year, and will drop down to mid to high 30s at night.
Sounds like the Southwest to me.
Aaron replied. Leo agreed.
Which totems are you bringing?
Hawk and Bear. I felt we may want Hawk's scouting ability. Bear is always good defense, and they have a few other useful attributes.
Soon enough, it was their turn to enter the room everyone was leaving from. They were using a transportation sigil on the floor. By adding actual latitude and longitude coordinates into the spell, they could be exact. They were checked over to ensure they were only bringing the items they were allowed to bring, and then handed a backpack containing their allowed supplies. Aaron knew from last week's class that it would contain a gallon of water, 2 packs of beef jerky, 2 flint stones, and a basic pocket knife with a 3-inch blade. Better than most, but not as good as it could be. It would be just good enough to shave a stick or gut an animal, but that was about it. The animal gutting abilities of said knife were questionable. Leo shouldered the backpack, and they were asked to carefully step into the circle. The spell was cast, and in a blink of an eye they went from Riverbrook to the middle of a rocky desert. It was early morning, and so it was still cool out. They did a quick look around to get their bearings. There was some scrub vegetation. The land was a little greener than they expected. The ground was even slightly damp, but quickly evaporating.
Where the hell are we? Desert, but the ground is moist.
He sniffed the air.
There is a little moisture in the air, but it's disappearing. I don't smell any of the signs of civilization either.
The rock and mountain formations, plus southwestern desert that would be wet this time of year. Arizona?
Aaron looked around.
This desert feels so familiar. If this is the Sonoran Desert, then this is one of my dad's favorite deserts. Well, one of his favorite places and most favorite dessert. He likes the geology of it.
So, which way should we go?
Leo asked.
No clue. There could be a town in any direction. It's just a matter of which is closest.
I'll send Hawk up. He might see signs of civilization.
He called out his hawk totem and suggested they head northeast to at least move in a direction while Hawk scouted around. They walked for hours, sipping water and eating only small pieces of the jerky. After noon, they started to collect the dried scrub vegetation they came across. They would need a fire at night if not to cook over, to ward away coyotes. Leo said he had smelled a few coyote trails, so knew it was a possibility. Toward evening, they found a nice rock outcropping with a few barrel cacti nearby. They set the dried brush they had gathered off to a side and set about making a fire. Once the fire was set, Leo shifted to wolf form so he could hunt some of the desert hares he had smelled. While he hunted, Aaron hunted around for more dried-out bushes. It was still about an hour until dusk when Leo came back with 2 dead hares. He dropped them near the fire, and he was about to gesture for her to cover her eyes.
Wait, let's put those paws of yours to work.
He cocked his head.
Like I said before, we can't eat the cacti because they would be likely to make us sick. But for them to grow means there is water here. We would just need to dig near them.
Leo wagged his tail, happy for more water. They had been conserving what they could, but they were both pretty dehydrated already. He began digging while Aaron worked on gutting and skinning the hairs. Without finding any truly solid pieces of wood, the only skewer they had was the pitiful knife they had been given. Soon enough, Leo gave an excited woof.
Perfect. Okay, I've gutted and skinned the hairs. You have a decision to make. It will take a long time to cook the meat because we don't have a skewer. I could make them, but I know we wanted to conserve my magic more if we could. I know you don't mind raw meat in this form, so your choice. Do you want me to make a skewer so we both eat cooked meat quickly? Use the knife and both eat cooked meat slowly. Of you eat raw meat in wolf form while I eat slow-cooked meat.
He woofed at the third option, so she brought him the larger of the two hairs to eat. She then cut a few strips of meat from the smaller hair and give him the rest.
I'm sure. I'll be okay.
She used the pocket knife as a skewer over the low flames of the fire. While she ate, Leo changed back to his human form.
How much water came up from the hole?
She asked.
A decent amount. Enough to refill the water jug.
Good. Let's drink what we have, and we can use one of our shirts as a filter for the water. It won't get everything out, but should get out most of the dirt and debris.
She handed him the jug to start drinking.
You're getting at least half of this.
He warned. He knew she didn't need to eat as much as he did, but he still didn't think she ate enough.
Fine, fine.
She laughed. She drank deeply when he handed over the jug. She knew conserving water was not actually recommended. You were supposed to eat and drink normally, but it was hard to not want to save what you had. They gathered the water and filtered it through a shirt, and then used the remaining water to clean the pocket knife. Dusk was turning to night. The fire was already down to embers, and the temperature was already falling rapidly. Leo called out his bear totem. He directed the totem to lie down.
Snuggle up to Bear, and I'll get on your other side. We'll keep you warm while we sleep, and Bear will keep watch.
Bear alerted them a few hours before dawn that something was approaching. The sudden loss of warmth woke Aaron up, as Bear got up and pointed itself in the direction of approach. Leo was immediately awake. Worried Aaron could have woken up in pain again, he asked her,
How is your hip?
Good. What's going on?
She replied groggily.
Bear has picked up on something approaching.
He stopped and listened.
It's coming quickly. Get up.
He helped her to her feet.
Do we run?
I thought about it. If we run, I'll have to shift to carry you. But then if it catches up, I won't be able to defend you. I don't think I can outrun it.
His eyes could already make out the shape of it in the distance. It took a few seconds to understand what it was because it was moving so quickly. It was a vampire carrying someone while it moved at high speeds. He growled.
Vampire!
He was starting to shift into his half-form in his rage. By now, Aaron could see the figures too.
Stop!
She scolded him.
That's probably a pair of students from the West Coast school. His partner is probably hurt and in need of help.
He probably attacked her.
They could now see that the vampire was a man appearing in his 20s, and the mage was a girl their age. The vampire was out of breath as he slowed down as he approached them.
I didn't attack her. We got set down in sniffing range of a spiral dancer. We've been running since we arrived. My partner, Katie, got a bad swipe from the spiral dancer before I could run us both away.
He looked back.
I stopped a couple of times to recoup, but it keeps following us.
Aaron saw the vampire's eyes dilate with hunger. With the way he had been using himself, he would need fresh blood to replenish his strength. Aaron struck first before he could make a terrible mistake, freezing him in place, except for his head. As a necromancer, she had dominion over the dead and undead alike. Because this was a young vampire, she knew she could take control of him in this manner. Unlike werewolves, vampires were susceptible to various degrees to mages. The younger a vampire, the easier they were to affect with magic.
Thank you,
The vampire said.
I'm close to frenzy, I've used myself too much and I haven't been able to hunt on the run. Can you take her from me? Her blood is making this worse.
He clenched his jaw. Leo went over and took Katie from the vampire's hands.
Can you heal her?
Leo asked Aaron.
My ability with Life Arcane is so weak that I would be terrified that I would accidentally hurt her. Honestly, the best thing for her that we have available is his saliva. It has something in it that heals wounds. With the size of these marks, she would be scarred, but her skin would be sealed. Can you go find him something to eat to get him away from potential frenzy, and I'll work with him to seal her wounds.
You're not going to let him feed from her, are you?
Leo hissed with disgust.
I can't. They would test me for human blood. I would be destroyed by my maker if I did that. Don't let any human blood touch my mouth.
The vampire fearfully replied.
I won't let you drink from her.
To Leo, she said,
I need you to trust me. How far away is the spiral dancer?
I think he is going to wait until I have to go to the ground and then dig me up.
I don't like this.
Leo replied.
I could hold him like this until noon if he didn't turn to dust on me first. Go and trust me.
Leo finally agreed and headed out as a wolf.
I never got your name.
Mark Banning.
Aaron Blackwell, and that was Leo Ravenwing.
He started at her name. He had heard of the Blackwells.
Okay, open up. This is probably going to feel weird.
Aaron had been about to cast a spell, but realized she didn't need to.
On second thought, I have a better idea. It will probably still feel weird.
She went to the shirt they had already used part of as a filter and ripped off a few squares of the fabric.
I need you to swish this around in your mouth to collect as much of your saliva as possible.
He agreed and took the cloth to begin working as much of his saliva into it as he could. She then cleaned Katie's wounds the best she could, dried them, and took the spit-drenched cloth from Mark's lips and swiped it over the wounds. The skin quickly sealed, and they both let out a sigh of relief. Katie began to rouse soon after, and Aaron helped her to stand.
Mark, what's going on?
She asked.
Why aren't you moving? He's too close to frenzy. My partner is hunting up some animals for him to drink from.
It's okay, Katie. This necromancer here has me immobilized for your safety.
In the distance, they heard a deeper yip, followed by higher-pitched yips.
It seems my blood is arriving.
Soon they could all see Leo. Aaron realized he was moving slower so that the coyotes following him could keep up and think they were winning. He even did a fake stumble to keep them blinded that he was leading them.
Looks like he found a pack of 4. Can you take them all on, Mark?
Aaron asked.
Yes, I promise I won't harm your partner. I still have that much control.
Aaron waited until they were closer and then called out,
Leo, I'm releasing Mark in 3, 2, 1.
And then she released him. Mark seemed to fly. He moved so quickly. As he neared, Leo kicked up his own speed to get between Aaron and Katie and the coyotes. The feeding happened so quickly it was over before Aaron could even register it was happening. Just as soon as he finished, it seemed like he was done, standing among 4 dead coyotes.
Thank you. I'm replenished now. Tired, but replenished.
He sat down heavily, keeping his distance from the werewolf.
The spiral dancer will be here soon. I don't know what to do. If I continue to roam, Katie and I will both be dead shortly after dawn. How are you feeling, Katie?
Still pretty weak and nearly drained. I'm going to see what energy I can from these barrel cacti. I hate to destroy them, but I'll be no use to anyone as I am.
Leo woofed at Aaron.
Changing back.
He nodded.
Werewolf changing. Avert your eyes.
She called. Mark wasn't affected, but Katie put a hand up to block him out while he changed. Leo watched as Katie drained the life out of the barrel cacti and saw how her energy levels seemed to go up.
Can you do that too?
No, must be an enchanter. It's one of the ways they can replenish their magical energy. Amy is a shaman, and she can just soak it up from the air without taking any plant life, a little like how you all with your moon phases. If you hunt again and I'm low, I can take the life force energy from the kill and convert that to magical energy. Most mages aren't fond of taking life energy from anything, but we will do what we must.
It was now only about an hour until dawn.
What are we going to do, Mark? You need a safe place to rest for the day, and I'm not going to be able to defend you.
We fight. They hate werewolves more than any other, so I'll let out a howl. It should bring him right to us. Erin, can you make the Mark, a daytime resting place?
Leo replied.
Of course. This rock should be good.
She made the entrance smaller and then had it change directions once further in so that air could flow in, but sunlight would not be able to reach the end. She made flat surfaces for the pair. It would be tight, but not unreasonably so.
Make sure you can both fit.
Mark went in and declared it good.
Okay, here's what I suggest. Erin, try and trap his feet. It will be difficult. You saw how fast Mark was with the coyotes.
He shuddered.
Mark is much faster than I am, but the spiral dancer will be somewhere between us in speed. Only do it if we can get him to stop in place long enough to cast. I don't want you getting either of us.
Katie spoke up.
I can make Erin and I move faster. That will help slow down everyone's movements to closer to our perception.
Leo nodded. A red haze surrounded Mark as he burned a little of the blood he had received. His fingers lengthened and sharpened to claws.
There, that should give me a better attack. I'll burn more blood for speed after you lure it closer with your howl.
He nodded towards Leo, who nodded his agreement. Leo seemed to be debating.
What are you planning, Leo?
Erin asked.
I'm not sure. Hawk might be able to distract, and Bear could help attack, but both are going to be too slow to do any good. If they are damaged, the totem will break early, and then we will be out of their help.
Erin knew that a totem had a limited number of summons before the werewolf would have to make a new one. This meant that a sudden physical destruction could also make it so that a werewolf would have to make a new totem.
So I'm debating on wolf or half form. My half form is stronger and faster, but I'll be too dumb. I could end up turning on Mark. The only advantage to using my wolf form would be my teeth, but I'll also be too close.
Can you keep a secret? Katie, you and Mark too. Can you keep a secret?
They all nodded, so she twisted and released the sword from her cane.
It's silver-coated. Don't touch the blade. I won't be fast enough to use it, but one of you could.
I have my claws. I think you should wield it, Leo.
Mark replied.
You've had this the whole time, and the school didn't detect it.
Leo asked, a little horrified that she had that back when she had immobilized everyone back in that first week, or could have used it on Enya and Ramos.
That's why it's gotta be a secret. My uncle was worried I could be targeted. He had debated on sending me to the West Coast school, but my cousin Colby assured him I would be fine.
Your secret will be safe with me.
Leo promised again as he took the blade. It was well balanced. His wolf form would be faster, but this sword would make his man form a better threat.
I'll increase our luck too. I won't be able to affect your speed or luck, Leo. I'm sorry.
Katie added.
Comes with the territory.
Leo replied.
Erin, can you create a physical barrier you and Katie will be able to hide behind?
Yeah, I should be able to pull up some bedrock.
She cast a quick spell and pulled up a shield of rock as Leo dismissed Bear. Once they were all in place, Leo looked around.
Is everyone ready?
Katie cast her spells for speed and luck as Mark burned some more blood to increase his speed. Leo howled, and a short time later, an angry growl reverberated through the air. The spiral dancer was coming.
Hey everyone, hope you loved the video. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe for more awesome sci-fi content. You can also support us by hitting the thanks button at the bottom of the video. Your generosity goes a long way. Every bit helps us bring you more stories from the stars. Thanks a bunch.